spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scaryish podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace, and this is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And, I think I have sauce on my face, do I?
No, I told you before the show you didn't have sauce on your face.
I thought you said yes.
No, not at all. Thank you all for joining us. We sincerely appreciate it. For everyone that's joining us live at youtube.com/Scaryish and twitch.tv/Scaryish podcast, we sincerely appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Little bit late of a start, but hey, that happens. We're about 2 minutes behind because some devices were not charged, and the stream wasn't working, which just randomly starts to happen nowadays, but we've troubleshot it so many times, it's like we know the exact steps to go through, so not too much of a delay. So tonight, we're going to read Homegrown Horrors. Robin, what's a homegrown horror?
Homegrown horrors are these paranormal, supernatural events and experiences that you folks have had, or your family has had, or some friends, and they share it with you, you share it with us, we share it with the world.
Indeed. If you have a story like that you would like to share, please email storytime@scaryish.com. You can also go to our website, scaryish.com, click on Contact Us, and send it our way. You can also go to any of our social medias and hit us up. We have Facebook, which is facebook.com/scaryish podcast. You can tweet at us at scaryish pod, or go to Instagram and talk to us. That's at scaryish podcast.
All right. So this is from Kaelyn, and it goes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good evening.
I'll say good morning because you said that to me.
I recently, about a week ago, found you all on Podcoin. That is cool. I've never heard of Podcoin.
I haven't either. Shout out to Podcoin.
Side note, it's a slightly obscure little podcast app. I mostly use it to donate coins I earn to various good causes. I've had quite a few experiences in my life, but I'll start with the earliest. I grew up in a small farm in nowhere, Colorado. Fringes of Firestone for any who actually care to know. That's cute.
That's cool.
I've never been to Colorado, so... The house was an older bi-level house. When you walked in the front door, you had to go either upstairs to the living room/kitchen or downstairs into the family room. The TV was downstairs, not really a basement, so I spent more of an inside time down there. There were odd noises and things being moved from where you thought you left them, but nothing so scary that it prevented my 6 to 7-year-old self from being down there. I used to sleep on the couch on weekends where I had usually fallen asleep watching TV. Now, I'm pretty sure there are two spirits there. One felt like a middle-aged or so man. I don't know how else to describe it. I never actually saw him, just how the presence felt. He was not so nice. He would change the channel on the TV. It was the mid-'80s. It was a dial that you had to get up, walk to, and move.
Did you ever have a TV like that when you were a kid?
I didn't have... Well, okay, so growing up, I had newer TVs, you know? And then we moved to a house that I feel like was built in the 50s or something, maybe. It was a much older house that we had to renovate and do all this work to. But it was kind of furnished with all the stuff already in there. So one of the things was an older TV with a dial on it. And that was the only experience I had with it. I didn't really actually use it.
You didn't get sucked into it and go into that like shadow dimension or anything?
No.
I think we might have had one when I was growing up, and we didn't have it for very long. I'm pretty sure my grandparents had one in their living room, and I remember like the dial turning and just being like, I don't know. Like, I know how to turn a dial. I know that it's tuning to different channels, but being like, this isn't worth it. I'm going to pop something in the VCR, because yes, VCRs existed back then.
I had a VCR. I had all them VHSs. We just got Disney Plus, and
how times have changed.
And watching cartoons like 101 Dalmatians last night that I used to have to watch on VHS is absolutely insane. It's so strange not to have to be like, I gotta rewind it before I can watch it again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's pretty cool. All right. Anyway,
back to the email.
More than once, I saw the dial actually moving on its own. So it's totally this ghost. It's like, oh, you want to watch cartoons?
All right. This stuff sucks. Shout out to Mondo Alba, who just resubscribed for the second month in a row using using their own money.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Mondo. We appreciate you. And the message they sent was a good evening.
Good evening
to you too. Quick shout out to the folks who actually followed us when we were not on the air. Mrs. Zilla, I think that's how you're saying that, or I should say that. Colorado guy. Carl of Duty XP and Chaos Lives. Thank you all for following us.
Carl of Duty?
Yeah.
Call of Duty?
It's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad pun, Carl.
Now all I can hear is Bad Company.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's weird.
Because Battlefield Bad Company was like the first Battlefield
Yeah, I was
game.
like, these don't connect in any way, shape, or form.
It's just like Call of Duty went to Battlefield.
Call of Duty fans
Bad
out there
Company.
like, how dare you?
Anyway, so He was also who I'd blame for things being moved and random loud noises. He was what bumped in the night, essentially. That's pretty creepy. The other was an older lady. I caught a brief glimpse of her only once, but was, again, more of a feeling you got. When she was around, I actually felt safer. The man didn't mess with things when she was around. She used to actually cover me up when I was sleeping.
Aw, that's sweet.
That's nice. It's nice when you have a good spirit to even out the crappy one that kind of wants to ruin your day and mess up your Saturday morning cartoons.
I think especially because,
or is it Sunday morning? No, it's Saturday morning
Saturday
cartoons.
morning. I say especially because I think the image that everyone has of like ghosts when it comes to blankets is them pulling it off of you while you sleep, which is so creepy.
Yeah. I recall one time I had accidentally fallen asleep and didn't even have a blanket with me and woke up to the Afghan being draped across the back of the couch, slowly being pulled over me.
Aw.
That's somewhat terrifying.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very sweet, but also it would be super scary to watch it happen. Shout out to the Snark to resubscribe using Jeff Bezos' money for the 13th month.
Wow.
Thank you
that's
so
over
much.
A year. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of support.
I was about to say, like, maybe it's your parents that are doing it for you, but if you're seeing it get pulled over onto you and
no one's there,
that's really scary.
Maybe your parents have superpowers where they go invisible and they didn't want to wake you up, so they just crept in there nice and slow.
If my parents had superpowers and they could go invisible, I think that's the most horrifying thing that they could do with that invisibility power.
To take care of you?
No, to scare me with it.
I don't think they're trying to scare in this case. I think it was just trying to be like, let's just go ahead and pull this blanket over you. Okay. Like, there's a lot of things you could do to scare someone if you were invisible. Shout out to the trailer for The Invisible Man or whatever it's called that's coming out with Elizabeth Moss.
What?
You don't remember? You didn't see that trailer?
No.
It looks pretty good, actually. It looks straight up like a horror flick, but it's not a ghost. It's a dude who's invisible just tormenting someone. So, it's funny, too, because I'm pretty sure I talked about that Kevin Bacon movie that has Thanos in it, too. That was like
not
actually
Thanos. He's not there to snap people.
No, he's straight up Thanos in that movie. Yeah, he's giant and purple, but he's a scientist and he's working on this invisibility potion.
Okay.
So, anyways, getting back to it, go for it.
Shout out to Miss Deezy who's resubscribed.
Miss Deezy flexing that fucking muscle, resubscribed with her own money for the 15th month in a row. 15 total. Says, hey y'all, just came by to say hey before I head off to play Death Stranding. Oh, baby.
That's hilarious.
Thank you so much for your support,
because of the baby in
Death
Stranding?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I do get it. Not bad. Good pun.
All right. So I didn't move, but looked around a bit frantically, hoping it was a family member or even the dog. That's a pretty talented dog if it could do that.
They should have, like, I'm sure there's YouTube videos or Instagram videos of a dog doing something like that.
Well, when the dog can pull the fridge open, grab a drink for you, and bring it back to you, I think that's sick.
Do you see the soundboard that someone made for their dogs so they can communicate with them?
Shut up.
Yeah, it's like a linguistics professor or something like that.
No
And she
way.
made a soundboard where it's like, they're just buttons and they only say phrases or words. But, like, one of the buttons is, like, happy. So it presses it when it's, like, in a really good mood. And then it said ball and then outside. And then it ran and grabbed its ball and then stood by the door. And, like, I think she has, like, 16 or 20 buttons for it, and she's slowly expanding it for it.
Oh, my gosh. I need
It's
to see
super
this
cool.
video.
Yeah, you got to watch the video.
Someone posted in our Facebook group so I can watch it.
I was super skeptical because it totally could be a hoax because there's always been people that claim that they can communicate with animals. There was a guy who claimed way back in the day that he taught a horse to do math. And, like, they would give the horse all these problems, and the horse would, like, stomp its hoof until it got the right number. And, like, people were flabbergasted, and they kept bringing people in. And then they were like, take the guy away. Don't let him be around the horse when this happens. And the horse couldn't do shit. So then they brought him back, and he could do it. So they're like, let's act like we're buying into it still and figure out how he trained the horse to clomp its hoof. And he would raise his eyebrows. He trained the horse to stomp when he raised his eyebrows. He just lower his eyebrows when he got to the right number. So, but he had people fooled for a really fucking long time that he taught a horse to do math. So I'm like, is this soundboard legit? Is this a real thing? Or is this dog just randomly pressing shit? And then
you can, like, slice the video to what you want.
It's one continuous video for sure. But I'm wondering if the dog's randomly pressing stuff and they're editing in audio. Or, I don't know. There's got to be something. Or maybe they're actually teaching a dog to communicate with a soundboard on the ground. But yeah, it's a cool video. Check it out.
I told the dog to go eat her dinner tonight, and she went and did it. So
I mean, yeah, certain commands dogs can get. Fetch. Roll over, kill.
What?
You can teach them all that stuff.
Jesus.
You've never seen, like, German Shepherds get trained for, like, combat?
So,
way to make it weird, Robin.
Okay, Afghan getting pulled over her. No one was there. I just laid there stunned for quite a while before finally mustering the courage to bolt upstairs. I've really enjoyed listening to the podcast. I'm only on episode 12, but we'll get caught up soon, I'm sure. It's been my new work binge. Thanks so
Aw.
much for reading this and doing what you're doing. I'll try to find a few minutes to write out my other notable story soon. Thank you so much, Kaelyn.
Yeah, thank you for sending it in. I appreciate it. I like the idea of having benevolent ghosts around there, especially if there's like an asshole ghost and a benevolent ghost, as they kind of balance each other out. And it reminds me, like, I think that prequel they made for Ouija. Do you remember that movie? Where they think they're getting rid of like the evil ghost, but they're getting rid of the ghost that's actually containing like the actual evil ghost. No?
I've never seen the prequel.
You watched it with me, and we both thought it was a really good movie.
Are you sure?
100% sure. I don't watch movies alone, dude.
I remember...
They cut open the ghost's mouth, the corpse of the girl.
Ah, okay, yeah. I remember that one. Okay. I see where you're going with it.
Cool, but no thoughts on that whatsoever.
I don't remember the movie too well. My bad, dog.
Right on. Well, this has been fun. So I'm going to move into my first story of the show. However, before I do that, I do want to say one quick thing. Something that I'm really, really proud of. Something our little podcast hit as like an accomplishment or an achievement. If we were an Xbox game, we probably would have just got like, I'd say a 50G achieve, maybe a 25 or a 30. I know the nerds out there are like appreciative of that, and
what
people
about the
who
trophies?
aren't don't care. I don't play PlayStation, but I guess this would be a gold, not a platinum. But here's the deal. So when we started this podcast almost 2 years ago, I wasn't really sure anyone would listen, but we knew this is the content we wanted to hear, and we couldn't find it anywhere, so that's why we started it. And then Sam was one of the first people to reach out to us from Isle of Man, and she was like, yo, what's up? I listened to your show, and we're like, holy crap, people are actually listening to this. And we've watched the numbers grow. It's been very, very exciting, and people reach out to us. People watch us live on Wednesdays. They spend their Wednesday nights with us, and it's super cool. And the reason I'm bringing this up right now, instead of on episode 104 when we're officially at the 2-year mark, is because just before the 2-year mark, as of yesterday, we hit 500,000 downloads. We hit 500,000 downloads, which is a number I would never have even thought that we could come close to, especially because Nerd Chills really didn't get downloaded that much. We never, like, it would have taken us like 2,000 years to get there. So it is a big milestone, and I think the most exciting thing about yesterday for us is that yesterday we hit 500,000 downloads. Yesterday we had the biggest day we've ever had as a podcast. And we're in a growth cycle again. And even when we've plateaued a little bit, it's still always kind of been going up. And that's sincerely because of you. It's all because of you guys. It's because you tell people about us and you share your stories with us so that you want to hear it and you want your friends and your family to hear it. And please don't stop that. Please just bring more people on. Spread it like a plague, because apparently that's back now. If you didn't read the thing I posted in the Spooky Friends group, 2 people were diagnosed with Black Death in China. Yeah, crazy shit. But
of course, but I mean, that place, their population is insane.
It's only 2 right now, but all I'm going to say is I've played a lot of Plague Inc., and I always start in China, and I always win. So
oh, my Lanta.
It's kind of scary stuff, but it is a big accomplishment for us. I know there are podcasters out there who have like 30,000 or 40,000 downloads a day, and who knows, maybe we're on our way to that, maybe we're not, but we're so much further ahead than we ever thought we would ever be. And it's definitely because of the folks that listen to us.
And it's so surprising whenever you folks reach out and talk to us. And I really would never believe we would have gotten this far with this.
This is the 90-second Storytime episode, which were created simply because we had too many emails to read on the regular shows. And we've always had emails. And it really means a whole lot to us. And it was really cool that it happened yesterday, because yesterday was one of the hardest days I've had in many, many years. And so I got to come home and be like, all this happened today, but this is also our best day as a podcast ever. And because of that, we just went over 500,000 downloads, which is awesome. I like to do that thing where I compare like sizes of stadiums and filling things up to give people perspective. And it's like, when I got to do that for an accomplishment of something that we created, I was like, damn, that's a lot of people. That's something that I can be proud of. And it's pretty awesome. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and move into my first email of the show. This one's subject is The Green Ghost in the Mirror, which if that was a book, I'd just read because the title is just so intriguing.
The Grinch.
Is it The Grinch?
I'm a Green Ghost.
I thought Green Mile at first, and I was like, that big dude?
Ah, it's the dude from Ghostbusters.
Oh, Slimer?
Yeah.
That could be. And it starts out like this. Hey, Robin and Adam.
Hey.
Hello. My name is Molly, and I'm from Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Wow.
I've sent in one story before, but I figured I would send in another because I have a few scary-ish experiences to tell you. You can share this on the pod if you'd like. We would like. I was listening to one of the Storytime episodes, and there was a story about a mirror, and it made me think of my own mirror story. I'm still trying to catch up with the show, and I'm only on episode 28, but I've been listening to you guys nonstop at my office job. When I was younger, probably 6 or 7 years old, I used to sleep over at my grandparents' house a lot. My grandmother had a mirror that she used to tell me was magic. Holy shit. I would be so terrified if someone told me that a mirror was magic. I wouldn't
secretly, their grandmother is...
Dumbledore?
No, the evil witch from Snow White.
Oh, I went straight to Dumbledore and the... whatever the name of that mirror is where you see the thing your heart most desires and you can sit in front of it until you wither away.
The Mirror of Erised.
Yeah, that's the one, I think. Someone fact checker. I'm not a Harry Potter nerd. I love Harry Potter, but I don't have the information. I'm a nerd, but I'm not a geek. I think that's the difference. Anyways, gonna get back to this. Magic mirror at Grandma's house. Of course, being 7 years old, I believed her. She said that Tinkerbell, yes, the Peter Pan Tinkerbell, lived in the mirror and would be able to come out of the mirror at night. I used to stay up as late as I could, waiting for her to appear, only to succumb to sleep, as my weary young eyes couldn't possibly stay open any longer. That's kind of a weird thing to tell a kid. Because, like, you imagine they're just going to sit in front of that mirror forever. Maybe you were an annoying kid. I don't know. And your grandma's like, how do I get this kid to sit down and shut up? And that was the way. If so, your grandmother is an absolute genius. And I'm going to put that in my back pocket for when I have children and grandchildren. It goes on to say, one night, however, I was laying in the pull-out couch bed
ominous.
And was determined to see her. I remember thinking to myself that maybe if I pretended I was asleep, she would appear.
Oh, no.
I turned my back to the mirror and laid there pretending to sleep. After a few minutes, I rolled onto my back and looked out in front of me. I swear to God, I saw a small, green, glowing figure with wings sitting on the edge of the lampshade, and the lamp sat right across from where the bed was. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I know for a fact that I was not dreaming. I laid there for a few minutes to take in that moment. I shot up out of bed and ran to my grandparents' room. I shook my grandma awake and said, Grandma, I saw Tinkerbell. I saw her. My grandma grumbled something in her half-awake state, but I couldn't contain my excitement. She came out of the mirror and sat right on the lampshade, I continued to loudly whisper. My grandma again said something incoherent, and I ran back to the living room where I was sleeping. I jumped into bed and threw the covers on me.
So, I mean, that's an assumption, saying it came out of the mirror and sat on the lampshade.
That's true.
What if
she could have been in the fridge the whole time, and, like, it creeped open and she just got out.
I've been reading Ghost Teller, so, I mean, maybe it was a closet fairy.
Closet fairy?
There's a story about some burglar who goes into the closet at an orphanage, and all the kids think he's the closet fairy, bringing them gifts and stuff. They end up murdering him in the closet, but...
Wow. Holy shit.
It's the best.
This was going to be like our first PG story, and you're like, so murder in the closet.
Anyway, no.
Murder in the closet.
I mean, it could be just some random fairy, you know, the apartment fairy or whatever.
Why do they have to have a name like that?
I don't
that
know.
Seems really, like, derogative to me. They're like, if a fairy lives in our closet right now, they're probably like, my name is Jeff, you ignorant bitch.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. They probably have actual names. Tinkerbell has a name, and it's not the Peter Pan fairy, it's Tinkerbell. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Touche.
So, yeah. Don't apply labels, Robin. Labels are bad.
That's 100% true. My bad. So, I mean, it could have
There's some fairy out there, like, flittering its wings, like so happy right now.
I mean, it could have been anything that just happened to be sitting on this lampshade. It could have been a fairy that came from anywhere, or just a little creature that came from anywhere.
It could have been one of those creatures from that Katie Holmes movie we just watched, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Oh,
Aren't they fairies in that? They're like tooth fairies. They're like a bunch of little mini tooth fairies.
They're supposed to be tooth fairies, I guess, because they collect children's teeth.
And eat them.
But they're also little monsters.
They're literally tiny little evil creatures.
That movie just reminded me of Gremlins.
Well, this email's not over, so you never know. They could have their teeth ripped out, and their grandmother could get dragged into the basement, just like in that one movie that we were just talking about with Katie Holmes I already forgot the name of. Don't be afraid of the dark. All right, let's finish this email and see what happens. I never saw her again after that moment. My grandfather passed away in 2009, and my grandmother has since moved out of that house and into a new one that is smaller and better suited for her. I don't know where the mirror is today, and I don't know if it was lost in the move, sold, or stashed away in her basement. In parentheses, sorry, Robin. But I do know I'll never forget that moment. Thanks for everything you guys do. I love listening to you guys pretty much every day since. I'm still catching up. Molly. Molly, thank you for sending that in. It's a really, really good story. And I remember seeing stuff as a kid that, like, as an adult, I look back on, I'm like, I must have, like, been hallucinating because I know I wasn't asleep. and that was definitely some creepy shit that freaked me out. So it's one of those things that you got to like look back and wonder on, but don't not trust your younger self just because you're older now. Because like, as we say a lot on this podcast and we hear a lot, like kids sometimes are tuned into stuff and they get discounted because of that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to take their opinion 100% seriously. And then you wind up with kids who talk about family members that have been deceased since they were born, like talking about exactly what they look like, saying
or
things
how
that
they died.
Yeah, or saying things that like mean something super profound to family members that they would never know. So yeah, I think when you look back on stuff like that, you shouldn't look back on it super skeptically, which I know I do, and I think a lot of people tend to do. So if any of this like triggered something in your head of something that happened when you were a kid, email it to us right now. I'm dead serious. Like, send it to storytime@scaryish.com because we want to know. So thanks again. One more time, Molly. Thank you for sending that in.
Thank you.
So before we move on, we're going to take a quick break with a word from our sponsors. And we're back.
So my next story is titled Nighttime at the Zoo.
That's exciting.
I've never been to a zoo at night. Are they open at night? I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure they close at night.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
they
5
kick you
o'clock
out.
or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're asking for a specific time. 5 o'clock in the middle of the summer, you're wasting 3.5 hours of light where you could be charging people tickets. So
Okay. So
I just think they close at night.
all right. Anyway. So the email goes, "Hey guys. Hello.
Hello.
Feel free to read the story on the podcast." So we are. Last fall, our company had the opportunity to install the holiday lights at the LA Zoo, which is so stinking cool. For people not in the know, Zoo Lights is a huge local event where the entire 133 acres of the LA Zoo is decorated and opens up at night, where people can walk around the zoo and explore various animal exhibits decorated in Christmas lights.
That actually is really cool.
The zoo has a mixed history in Griffith Park with animal escapes in the early 1900s. That's horrifying. The zoo almost lost its accreditation. What? The zoo almost lost its accreditation in the 1950s because gorilla escapes were so frequent.
Wow.
How does that happen?
They're smart. They just didn't have good, I don't know, preventative measures in place to keep the gorillas from getting out.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that fence is at least 3 feet tall, and those things keep getting
That's
over
what
it.
blows my mind about giraffes is the walls for giraffes are not that high.
Yeah, they tell you they don't want to lift their feet higher than, what, like a few inches or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, only to run, and if you have, like, a 2-foot fence, they won't step over
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy. I just want to touch them. Anyway, so that sounds really awkward.
It did.
Anyway, after that, it forced a redesign of most of its animal enclosures, and you can still see some of the old enclosures in Griffith Park. I'm sure the zoo wouldn't like me sharing this, but whatevs. They'll never know.
Wow.
Unless, hey, LA Zoo, hit us up. I want to go. I've never been. Anyway.
Just let all the animals out, strap GoPros to us, and we'll stream it live. I think that sounds like a really good cross-promotional idea.
No. I don't think you should do that, but I would love to visit LA Zoo, see all the animals.
We've gone to San Diego Zoo.
Pandas.
LA, show us what you're about.
Pandas are my favorite animal.
Show us what you got.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Rick and Morty comes back.
I think it just started, didn't it?
Did it? I don't know.
I know I saw the review for it. That I don't know if it was an advanced review.
Anyway, continuing. If you never have been there, the main gate looks like the fences of Jurassic Park.
That's awesome.
That's sick. No. We'll get strike. Don't do that. I'm sure Steven Spielberg got his inspiration from the LA Zoo. That's pretty cool.
I could see that.
Wow.
Even though I haven't seen that. I feel like I can see that in my mind's eye because I've seen that.
There's a picture in the email.
Is there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
While it is great for visitors, it was a hard project for our company. Because the zoo was open during the day, most of our work occurred overnight. Our team was very small, but we managed to completely transform the zoo in 6 weeks. 6 weeks?
It's pretty good.
Holy snap.
Holy snap.
Shut up.
Robin trying to make a new trendy phrase.
I just want to make some stupid joke, but I'm not going to. Okay. Anyway, that's like
What
if Thanos was religious.
Wow. That is a really stupid joke. You're right.
Okay. So our normal shifts were from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m. when the zoo opened. Over the 6 week okay.
You're just derailed because you were so proud of that fucking holy snap
No,
joke.
it's because I'm Asian, right? My eyes are really squinty. So because I'm laughing, I can't really read very well because I'm like reading through tiny slits. Anyway, so over the 6 week install, the zoo transformed into a Christmas wonderland, although all cultures were represented, which is nice. It wasn't uncommon for us to get into animal enclosures to install lights in the enclosures. Most of the time, the animals are taken back to their nighttime habitats.
I thought it was going to be like one person keeps the lions distracted while everyone else puts up the lights.
Oh my god. Most of the time, the
We
animals...
lost quite a few friends that way.
Stop! Most of the time, the animals are taken back to their nighttime habitats away from their day enclosures and the public. But that isn't always the case. Next time we see each other, remind me to tell you about the crawling around on alligator habitat at night when the alligators
we would have read this
out.
last week. We would have been able to talk to him about it.
All right, so one night, around 2 a.m., my coworker and I were up in a boom lift about 50 feet in the air, wrapping a gigantic oak tree with Christmas lights. Imagine the scene of Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park 2, where he's up in the high hide when he sees the tree line sway below him. All right.
That's scary.
The T-Rex is coming. Okay. Because of the stuff swaying below him.
Got
obviously.
it, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, all of a sudden, he heard something scream. It sounded like an animal being eaten. Oh, no, wait. Not Jeff Goldblum. Them. Hold on. All of a sudden, we...
You thought he was still telling you about Jurassic Park 2? The rest of this email will now be a recap of Jurassic Park 2. Do you remember that part where the girl does the gymnastics? That was really fucking stupid, wasn't it?
There's a girl that does gymnastics?
His daughter. You don't remember that she's like cut from the gymnastics team, and then at the end she does like fucking parallel and uneven bars to kick a raptor through a fucking wall.
No?
Yeah, how can you forget that?
I need to watch this again.
I was like sixth or seventh grade, like I kind of want to bash my head on the floor until I die in this theater.
Okay. Anyway, all of a sudden we heard something scream. It sounded like an animal being eaten, which is a weird sound in a zoo, especially in the middle of the night. I seriously thought that something was eating something else. It was a death cry. We both looked toward the ground, clutching the guards at the boom lift, afraid to move. Searching the ground with our headlamps, we saw a small, dark figure walk around the asphalt near our lift. Did something escape? Once we shined our lights near the lift, we discovered a skunk.
Wow.
Apparently, the skunk had sprayed a small rodent.
And the rodent's like, oh my god.
It scared us both, but we were both relieved that it wasn't an animal in a habitat. The next day, we talked to a few of the staff at the zoo. They mentioned that skunks were very common at the zoo and that they normally forage for food at night. Always throw away your trash, folks. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I hate going to places and the trash is just all over the ground and people just can't walk the extra 10 steps to the trash can.
I don't know if this is a Midwest thing, but like, I don't remember having a lot of litter in public areas. And I think that is specifically because you can throw away your trash and then put it in a bag and then put it in a garbage can and then put a fucking boulder on top of that garbage can. And those Midwest raccoons will tip over your fucking trash can, rip it to shreds, eat whatever is in there, basically spell out fuck you with the rest of the trash, and leave it for you in the morning. I swear, I have had so many preventative measures, I'm using that phrase again, that I have taken to keep this from happening. What it comes down to is like, keep your garbage cans in your garage. It's going to make it smell, but hey, you won't have to pick it up in the morning. I'm dead serious. Like, those raccoons back there are crazy smart. They're like rocket raccoons.
What? How's that possible?
Because they're geniuses.
Like Apple geniuses?
No, they don't come around in blue t-shirts like, hey, can I fix your phone and then eat your trash? I'm not saying that Apple geniuses eat your trash, but have you ever offered? You're pretty selfish,
God.
I guess, right? That's weird.
Oh my god. Anyway, also Apple, if you want to sponsor us, hit us up. Anyway, so in another instance, it was around midnight in early November. The fall weather was starting to come in, and it makes night times a little chilly. I was on the ground near the main walkway of the zoo installing lights on a handrail. I was bundled in a hoodie and jacket, so I had a very small field of vision. I turned my back on the handrail to talk to a coworker to tell him what the next project was for the evening. In that instant, we heard a twig snap. Something really heavy just stepped on something. We both heard it and we froze instantly. It's a T-Rex. We knew that we were the only people in the zoo that evening, and we both were standing on asphalt. That's creepy. We both looked at each other, eyes wide, afraid to turn and address the noise. Slowly, we both turned around towards the noise, and once we turned around, we saw a gigantic elephant standing near the fence of his enclosure. We never even heard him coming. Ghost elephant. Or ninja elephant.
Ninja elephant seems more likely.
I'm surprised something that large can move so quietly. I've attached a photo as well. Apparently,
Nice.
his name is Billy, and he's the curious one of 3 elephants, according to his handlers. Anyway, it's amazing on how your minds play tricks on you at night, especially when you know you're one of the few people around. The zoo makes plenty of noise at night, and it's very easy to get freaked out. Feel free to read this on the podcast. I'm sure I'll send you more. Keep on creeping on. Love much, Elle.
Thank you, Elle.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you sending that. That's super awesome.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being in an animal enclosure while you're like doing work and just wondering if there's something watching you or stalking you at that time.
Every little sound would freak me out, like I'm about to get murdered by some wild animal that's just walking around there, you know?
It's really interesting to know that elephants can be sneaky like that. You know, it's like a barbarian rolling really high on a stealth check. You just don't expect it. And that said, like, every time I think of elephants and stuff like that, the other thing I think of is that Mythbusters episode where they test whether or not they're afraid of mice, and it was 100% true. They're terrified of mice. Like, as soon as they see a mouse, they turn around and run the other way, which is just bizarre. There's so much we can learn from elephants. They said that they did like an EKG or something on an elephant to show its brain activity, and the brain activity an elephant experiences when it sees a human is similar to when a human sees a puppy. So it's like they think we're their pets. And it's like, it's hilarious to think that. And then there's that video of that elephant that like thinks it sees a person drowning in the river, but they're really just swimming. And it's like a little baby elephant, and it just dives into the river and swims over to them to like pull them out of the water.
Yeah.
It's adorable shit.
I've seen a lot of horror videos though of elephants too, where it's like the people are
positive.
The people are abusing the elephants, but the elephants just snap one day and they're just like, I'm not taking any more of your shit, and just stomp the fuck out
What I'm saying is, in this case, this elephant was coming over to help you hang lights. Like, you guys need a big trunk? Just like...
Imagine being lifted up by an elephant's trunk, and he's like, here, you can reach that tree with this.
See, you made it even more adorable. I thought the elephant was going to grab the lights and hang it, but you're like, it's going to grab the person and then hang them from the rafters. So, pretty morbid stuff, Robin.
What? No!
We all didn't see that twist coming. We can agree that was pretty messed up.
Oh my god. What? Anyway. Okay. Why did you make it weird?
It's a good joke.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to move into my second and the final email of the show. The subject is Salvadorian Homegrown Horror, in parentheses, can read on the podcast. And it starts out like this. Hi, Adam, Robin, and Spooky Mom.
Hello.
Hello. And my mom yells hello from somewhere unknown. It was really cool hearing my story read on the podcast. I wasn't expecting it, and I had to stop playing it partway through because I was freaking out at work. As a kid, I would get super nervous when the teacher would read my essay out loud. This totally brought back that feeling. That's hilarious.
What teachers read essays out loud?
I had teachers that did that in like 3rd or 4th grade, where your essays were like short. Like 1 page, but it was when your pages were like landscape pages, like super wide lettering. You know what I mean? I think that's when they read the essays out loud, but I don't know.
I mean, then they're not essays. They're like
Whoa,
sentences.
Don't shit all over 3rd grade Adams essays, okay? They were good stuff. I wrote in about my sister's haunted apartment. You don't want to know. You don't even care. You're just rolling your eyes about this. You don't need to know the dynamics of 3rd grade Adam's inner mind. I don't remember. I wrote in about my sister's haunted apartment, and you guys brought up something I hadn't considered before. What would I have done had I known the place was haunted beforehand? Maybe it was better not knowing, since the presence seemed harmless. Anyway, I'm going to share more stories with you, which have been in my family. My parents are from El Salvador in Central America. They moved to the U.S. in the 70s before I was born. When I was a kid, I used to beg my mom to tell me this story. I'm not sure of the origin exactly. It is not clear whether this happened to someone in her neighborhood or a friend of the family or what. It's been a while since I've heard it, so I'm going to try and recreate it faithfully. This takes place in a rural part of El Salvador. Let's say it was sometime in the 1960s, before Uber and Lyft. A young man had met a young woman from another village, which was a bus ride away. He was so smitten, or as I, Adam, like to call it, in deep smit. He was so smitten that he went to visit her every Saturday.
That's
he
cute.
enjoyed her company so much, one day he ended up missing the last bus of the evening. The fastest way to get back home was to ride a horse through the woods. The girl's father warned the young man that there were spirits in the woods, and the best thing to do to keep them away was smoke a cigar. Apparently spirits, in parentheses like me, hate cigar smoke. Interesting. I did not know that. I guess it's kind of like smudging.
That sentence kind of confused me for a little bit. I was like, wait, are you a spirit? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I kind of got that sense too.
But it's just
they
like
also
they
hate
also
cigar
hate
smoke.
cigar smoke.
So their spirit will also hate Cigar Smoke. Yeah. So it'll be like doubly as bad once you're a spirit. The young man started his journey home, surrounded by the darkness of the trees and the nighttime noise of the jungle fauna. It's a really good sentence. Nice. I just see it in my mind's eye.
You should write a book.
As he continued through the woods, he started to hear sounds of twigs snapping. This seemed like a good time to bust out that cigar, right? We know it's that fucking elephant from Elle's email earlier. As he continued on his way, the horse started nickering and pulling in a different direction. The young man began smoking more furiously now, noticing the change in the horse's behavior. They soon came to a clearing in the woods to what looked like an orchard. The horse started snorting with more frequency. He dismounted to take a moment to figure out where he was. As his eyes adjusted in the darkness and cigar smoke, he was startled from movement underneath one of the trees. A long, graceful hand, glowing white in the moonlight, was beckoning him towards one of the trees. In his shock, he let go of the horse's reins, and the horse started trotting over towards the white figure under the tree.
Oh my gosh.
There's going to be a swamp, and he's never going to see that horse again. Hashtag Neverending Story. Hashtag that movie sucks.
Shut up.
Terrified.
You've never even seen it.
I've never finished it. Terrified, but knowing that he could not lose his girlfriend's family's horse, he started towards the tree, fearful that it was some ghostly woman luring him to an early grave. He had grown up with stories of the, this is going to be interesting, Siguanaba. They put in the pronunciation, thank you so much for not making me sound stupid, a spirit which, unless that's not how you say it, and I just sound like a moron, a spirit, don't double tap me, I don't need a condescending tap.
It was a triple tap.
Wow, that's even worse. A spirit which would appear as a beautiful woman, either naked or in white, who would lure men to their deaths. As he neared the tree to retrieve the horse, with heart pounding in his chest, he stepped onto something that squelched under his foot. I'm telling you, it's that swamp. His heart was in his throat as he looked down. Under his foot was not the viscera he imagined, but instead an overripe mango, which had fallen from the tree.
Oh man, those things are so gross when you step on them. It's like...
I don't know. I've never seen an overripe mango. In an instant, he realized that the ghostly hand was not attached to a temptress shroud in white, but in fact, the tall of a white mare flickering back and forth as she happily chowed down on some fallen mangoes. His horse was taking in the fruit feast as well.
Aww,
in the end,
cute.
The young man made it home safe after a pretty good scare. I'll send him my father's personal, let me say this right again, Siguanaba story as well. Much love, Crystal. It's pretty good.
It's cute.
Like, you think that's just some, like, weird, terrifying thing in the darkness, and it's like, that is literally just another horse. And that the horse you were on was just like, what up, other horse? And free fucking ground food. Well, this is amazing. What a nice night.
Growing up in Hawaii, you step on a lot of wet mangoes. And
really?
It's just so gross and squishy.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up in Indiana. It's like running through like a field of corn is normal for me. And knowing to wear like long sleeves so you don't get cut up and you don't get spiders on you is something that just is ingrained in my personality. So
spiders.
Good stuff. That was a solid story. Well written. Thank you for sending that in. We sincerely appreciate it. I really like the stories where it's not what you think it's going to be. Like, those ones are always just like, maybe because like there's a twist in it, like, ooh, what a twist. But it's also really fun when they're just like funny or benign or something kind of cool like that. So one more time, thank you for sending that in.
Thank you so much.
So I want to thank everyone that sent in their stories. And if you have a story you would like to send us, please email storytime@scaryish.com. You can also go to our social medias, facebook.com/Scaryish Podcast, and message us there. You can go to Twitter @ScarishPod or Instagram @Scaryish Podcast, or of course, go to our website, Scaryish.com, click on Contact Us, send in your story that way. We would absolutely love to hear from you. It's really fun to do these things. It's really fun to do them live. Every now and then you get a peek behind the curtain to see that it's a little bit messy back here, because sometimes we do have a few things go out of whack, but it's really fun time, and we appreciate it when people interact with us. It's something I hope you folks come out and participate in. Robin, for the folks that wanted to donate to us monetarily, how can they do so?
So we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Scaryish Podcast. And those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. There's a whole bunch of different tiers you guys can check out. And then we have a coffee, ko-fi.com/Scaryish Podcast. Those are one-time donations, and those go to help us upgrade our studio setup. If you folks want to donate through Twitch or YouTube, I don't know if there's a donation link on YouTube, but on Twitch there is. You can donate through Twitch. There's a link in our description box. You can totally just click, do a bunch of stuff. It's great.
Right on. So there you go. That's all the different ways that you can kick us some money if you would like to. If not, no big deal. We appreciate every bit of support we get, especially folks that listen, especially folks that share. It is amazing that we have grown to the point we have, and we hope to continue to grow and bring in even more folks, and we hope you're a part of that. So I think that's just about everything we have for this episode 92, Storytime episode 92. So I guess, Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.